So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Le French Wine Day to speak about wines for pairing with food. This theme refers to still wines with an export price that not exceed 15 euro net of tax ex works. Remember that you can view all the products present in the selection and also the top 10 on our web platform testefrance-wineandspirit.com. The session will hosted by Justin Leone. Thank you, Justin, for joining us today. The session will be recording and you can ask your questions in writing in the chat. Enjoy your session. Over to you, Justin.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the French Wine Days. It is a great honor for me to be a part, as of course, French wine is my favorite topic ever. Much more entertaining and delicious than politics or religion. So no problem talking about this at the table. And I went through a whole lot of wines with Meininger Verlag to find my absolute favorites under 15 euros. And of course, the greatest four, because I am a sommelier. I don't know if you know my background, but for food, that's really the point, for menus, for wine pairings, and even to just enjoy at home with whatever you like to cook or order delivery. These days, of course, that's more important. So I'm Justin Leone, 3-star Michelin Alinea Chicago, 2-star Michelin Marcus Waring London, 2-star Michelin Tantris, and author and musician and consultant and all this other good stuff. It's a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you for joining me. Now, without further ado, because the true stars of this, certainly not this guy, are the winemakers. And we have some fantastic personalities here. I don't want to steal any more time from them, but we'll have some lively conversation, that's for sure. So buckle your seatbelts. One thing I have to say is, of course, we very much welcome questions. However, we, of course, because of time constraints, cannot get to all of them, but please do write them in the comments and we will pick up as many as we can to answer. For anything that we do not answer here in the event, please contact the winemakers personally, ask anything you need. They are wonderful people and they are very eager to answer your questions. If we have time at the end, after we've gone through all the winemakers, if there's time left over, then we can certainly go to whatever questions are left. Okay, so we're going to start off with two wines from, of course, the beautiful Loire Valley of France, one of my favorite regions as well, with a wine that we all know and love. And oh yeah, everybody, please do, by the way, mute your microphones until you are called on to ask a question. If that doesn't happen, it will be utter chaos with all the noise in all of our homes or offices. And yes, here we go. So we are going first to Sancerre. Take it away.
Hello.
Hello. Bonjour, monsieur.
I am Christophe Mangard. Yes, I'm from Sancerre. I'm pleased to be with you.
It's a pleasure to have you, sir. Of course, I picked your wine because I love it, but tell us all a little bit about your estate and, of course,
Sure.
this wine.
So more than an estate, it's a cooperative that I represent, which I am the manager. My name is Christophe Mangard. I'm the manager of this small co-op, also the winemaker in that co-op. It's a family size co-op. We are only 13 people working there, but with 80 wine growers all around the Sancerre area. So we produce on 240 hectares of vineyards. They are located, as I said, everywhere in the area of Sancerre. So we have a very large diversity of soil and exposures on this hilly part of the Loire, Upper Loire Valley, with different kind of soil, clay and limestone, but with also some places with flint stones and caillotte also, which are bigger stones of calcaire. This high diversity of terroir is our treasury at Cave des Vins Sancerre at this COP, because we have only one cepage, Sauvignon Blanc, very well known for Sancerre, which is our other treasury. But growing this cepage in different kind of soil give different kinds of product, different kind of wines, and that's what we work on to get the possibility to blend these different styles. My winemaking philosophy, if I can say like this,
Please, yeah.
to be as simple as possible, as the nature gives us that treasury with a very rich product coming from the Sauvignon Blanc in that terroir. So the winemaking is as simple as possible. Just let the vinification goes by itself. Sometimes I had some yeast, but most of the time it's just natural fermentation, and with no additions, no products except a little bit of sulfur, of course. After the fermentation, I like to do a fine lees élevage for between 1 month to 3 months, depending on the quality of the lees. So to enrich the wine with the stuff coming from the grape and the lees also from the yeast. It gives that wine that you got in that bottle. That's l'étincelle. We call it l'étincelle. It refers to the stones we have in the soil. So it gives a wine very rich, very intense. So you feel it at the first nose with different aromas of ripe fruit, green apple, apricot, lime, pineapple sometimes, grapefruit, blackcurrant, of course. And then when taking that wine in your mouth, you find again the ripe fruits, but a very good level of acidity, which gives freshness to that wine. But the final of the mouth, the finish of the mouth, is characterized by intensity and density, which gives a lot of savors for the wine.
So now there was one question, and it's pretty quick thing to answer. Do you produce any Pinot Noir, or you only deal with Sauvignon Blanc?
No, it's 85% Sauvignon Blanc in Sancerre and 15% Pinot Noir, which we make rosé and red out of it.
Okay.
We have got only these two cepages, but today I present only the Sancerre white.
And I do really love Sancerre rosé, because I think that the Sancerre terroir is so powerful that it kind of blows my mind, but I always use it as an example for my wine classes and things, that even a Pinot Noir rosé made from Pinot Noir tastes more like Sancerre than anything about Pinot Noir when it's a rosé.
I'm right. You're right. I agree with you. And it's an originality. You have very few rosé from Pinot Noir around the world.
Yeah.
Most of the time they are produced in red, which gives also very good products. But this is our originality to produce a very good rosé out of it. Yes.
So we should talk about your beautiful wine right now, because that's why we're here. And I picked this because sometimes Sauvignon Blanc can be very loud, you know, very extreme, very grassy, very acidic, very herbaceous, almost like goes into this sort of like asparagus kind of direction, bitter even, which can be for me very off-putting, which also makes me surprised that I know in Germany Sancerre or Sauvignon Blanc is now like the new trend. It's the hottest grape. Everyone drinks it. Everyone asks for it immediately. And so I think it's a pity that not many Sauvignon Blancs are actually this good.
Thank you.
And the elegance is, for me, why I picked it, because it has all the character of a Sauvignon. It has this light grassiness, this sort of green, like a fresh snap, like a sugar pea kind of elegance to it. It's round, it's subtle, the acidity is completely integrated, it's round. It's just, it's, you know, our jobs as sommeliers is never to ruin the masterpiece. We just have to find the perfect frame to put around the masterpiece, which is the food in front of us, or the dish, or what have you. And I think, you know, this is exactly the kind of wine that has absolutely its own character, however, does not step on or step all over the dish that you're trying to accompany. So my question is, locally, what do you like to pair with Sancerre?
Locally, the best match is to have it with goat cheese and the very well-known crottin de Chavignol, which is a small goat cheese produced in Chavignol, which is a small village of Sancerre area. So this is the real best match we can find. So we have it just as an aperitif with pieces of cheese just taken by hand like this. But you can have it also with seafood and fish, of course, on all along the meal. And I personally have it on meat also with a good sauce, a creamy sauce. It will match very well too.
Well, I mean, Loire is also well known for white asparagus, correct?
Also, yes.
And I think this works very well with the more elegant flavors, not the green, but the white asparagus. And I think personally, for me in summertime, which is hopefully coming sometime, anything with tomato, I think is fantastic with Sauvignon Blanc, especially Sancerre, because tomatoes have, of course, this perfect green sort of herbaceousness about them, but also a fruitiness and, of course, the acidity.
Acidity and sucrosity.
Yep, and I think
with this wine, which have natural acidity and natural sugarness.
Yeah,
no sugar in it, but a sensation of sugar.
Fruity quality. Yeah.
Yeah,
for me, anything even easygoing for the customers who say, "Listen, I don't go to 3-star Michelin restaurants or whatever." That's fine, but anything like from gazpacho to margarita pizza, for me, is fantastic. With Sancerre. So I think it's just something that to have at home always has a place as a utility, and it's such a crowd pleaser because everybody seems to like or enjoy these flavors of Sauvignon Blanc. So I think it's a complete hit, and I think, well, congratulations, you made some really great wine here, and the value is outstanding. This is something that you can really drink on a daily basis. So, Monsieur, merci beaucoup. It's
my pleasure. I'm happy you enjoyed it.
I love it. I really do. Now we move on to another friend in the Loire, a neighbor. We're going to now a very underrated and super awesome part of the Loire, which is, of course, Muscadet, Sèvres, right on the edge of the Loire as the river flows into, of course, the mainland. Well, of course, a grape that I don't think many usual wine drinkers know about, Melon de Bourgogne. And here even more seldenly seen, a Muscadet that can age like any great wine in the world, and because we're now at almost 10 years old, 2014 with the Clisson. So let's talk about it.
Thank you, Justin. Yes. So we are the Domaine de la Grenaudière. It's in the area of Muscadet, just between the two rivers. If you know the Maine and the Sèvres, which given the name to the appellation Muscadet-Sèvres. But the Muscadet-Sèvres Clisson, it's a new appellation because she was born in 2011. So it's very, very recent. And it's only on some granitic soils. It's the best granitic soil of the south of the appellation Muscadet-Sèvres. It's covered around 200 hectares. And now we have just only 50 hectares in production for all the producers. It's covered around 25 producers of this cru. The specific of the cru, it's the aging in vat on the lies more than 2 years. And for us, the wine aging in that between 4 and 6 years. So for the vintage 14 was bottling in July of 19. And for the vintage 15, we're just bottling it. So it will stay more than 6 years in that. And it's very, very interesting because generally some people drink Muscadet because they like the freshness of the wine. But with the aging, we can have the more minerality. And on the light, there is more round. It's very, very fresh. And for the domain, so we have 28 hectares. And Clisson represents just only 2.5 hectares. So we produce generally currant Muscadet surely. And we produce around 200,000 bottles of wine.
Very small production, actually.
Yeah, but it's we are a family.
Yeah, no, of course, no. This is fantastic. This is
Company.
You know, these things
I
are.
just work with my brother, so it's.
Yeah, sorry, please.
Sorry, I have some problem of connection. Sorry. Yes. The soil is only granitic because in the area of Muscadet we have different type of soil. We have some schistous, some clay, but we are just only on granite, and it's a very, very strong stone. So the yield is not very important. It's between 40 and 45 hectoliters per hectare.
I guess as Mr. Hangis just pointed out, granite is a hard rock, and that's probably why they have the Hard Rock Festival there in Clisson. Makes sense. I think we've all seen in the last years a bit of an explosion in popularity of the Loire. It was, of course, first with Sancerre, which was always kind of a classic, and then it happened in Saumur because of the Clos Rougeard. And now we have, I think, one of the next places which should become cult for any great sommelier is exactly Muscadet. Because I think that the wines are so dynamic and so full of mineral and so unique, because what other region has Melon de Bourgogne?
Yeah, yes, I think it's a particularity for the wine. For this wine, you can drink it very young, and you can keep it more than 10 years. Because last week we tasted 1980. So 40 years old. It is very fresh. It's very minerality, good minerality.
Yeah, I'm always impressed. I've always had some old Muscadets on my wine lists, and it really is something in a wine pairing that, as a sommelier, you slide it in, and people don't even know what it is, and they taste it and they say, "What is this?" And you have this wow effect when you talk about a 10 or 12-year-old wine, which many people have never had before, and they say, "But it's white. How can you age white wine?" They don't even know. And you say, "Well, of course." And you have such an amazing story to tell, which is really part of our job as sommeliers or as wine sellers. You want to tell a story. You want to have something unique. You want to give the customer the feeling that they have a real experience. And to have that for this kind of money, I think, is absolutely incredible. This is, for me, it's the secret weapon in almost any sommelier's arsenal, personally.
Yeah. That's fine. With Muscadet, it's fine because if you drink the wine younger, you can drink it with some oysters, some fish, and after with aging, we can eat with some white meal like veal and some cheese, and then after with some desserts with apple, with green apple. So it's very, very interesting. You have all the range of the wine.
Yeah, my chef at Tantris always had a dish when the chanterelle mushrooms were in season, Steinpilz, as we call them, right? He would, or seps, whatever the case may be, he would have a shrimp dish with freshly mandolined mushrooms over top, and this insane combination of the minerally and slightly sweet shrimp and this fresh, mossy, sort of damp earthiness of the mushrooms. just explodes, because this has such a honeyed, beautiful quality, like a fresh sweet shrimp. And you have this earthiness from the aging, and it's really, for me, it opens so many possibilities between the earthiness and the fruit and the sort of honeyed character. It's really exceptional.
And I always say to people, don't be afraid to keep Muscadet, because you can drink it for many times.
And I think it's fascinating that you also age them so long in the vat, because there's few winemakers who really do that. There's some in Austria, there's of course some in France, there's maybe a couple in Germany, but not many. And I'm totally fascinated by how fresh the wines remain, however they develop. And so you have the development and the freshness, and it's yeah, it's very exceptional. And it opens up, again, our possibilities for pairing with food. As you said, as it gets older, it goes even more into white meats, you know, a bird, game bird, poultry, something like guinea hen is perfect for this, for example.
You have many possibilities. You can, in France, we drink with some white asparagus, because it's very fine.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of possibility for going with this wine.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely love this. And if there was a cheese, what do you like for this?
Yes, we like with Comté, it's very fine.
Comté,
some cheese like Comté, yes, it's in the east of France.
Yeah.
But sometimes I say it's very good with nothing, just with some friends.
Best paired with nothing other than your couch. I agree. This is a wine you can drink anytime. It is absolutely fantastic. And I guess our attendees are also responding that it's a truly fantastic wine, and I couldn't agree more. Just as we part here, before we go on to the next wine, tell me, for the sommeliers or the resellers who maybe don't work with Muscadet very often, tell me how you describe the character or the personality of Melon de Bourgogne.
Melon de Bourgogne, it's yes, it's a very the wine is with some acidity, but not too much, and it's a good place because it's near the ocean and there is some salt for the taste. It's a little bit fruity, but not too much fruity. Like we speak about Sancerre before, but there is not very some special taste of Muscadet. The taste of Muscadet is given by the minerality and by the vinification and the aging. So we can't say like Sancerre with the Sauvignon, you have a particular taste. For Muscadet, each wine is different, but generally it's the freshness and the aging on lies gives some bubbles, and it gives all this freshness and minerality.
Well, it's no different than one of the great wines of Spain, sherry made from Palomino, which is also very neutral, but the magic is in everything around it, right? So I have no problem with that. Well, thank you for the fantastic wine. Really, it's stunning. If you feel like hanging out, maybe there's more questions at the end, and when we have more time, we can definitely go into even more detail. But if you have to go, then anyway, thank you for the absolutely stunning wines, and I will definitely. You have to send me a list because I will definitely be buying some from you.
Okay, thank you so much for your intention.
Send me a list before all the attendees buy all your wine before I get some.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, so now let's move on. Now I personally invested a lot of time in this region because I spent 2 harvests working under Nicolas Potel in Nuits Saint-Georges in 2004 and 2006. So Burgundy is very, very, very near and dear to my heart. So I was very excited to pick this because, of course, everyone knows all of the Chardonnays in Burgundy and the Poulignies and the Chassagnes and the Merceaus and whatever. But the unsung hero of Burgundy is perhaps this grape, Aligoté, and this is the place where it is truly in its best form. So let's move right along now to the Bouzeron.
Hello everybody, schönen guten Tag. My name is Laurent Dufouleur from Collection Tramier on the domain Laurent Dufouleur. We are a family business of 15 people based in the village of Mercurey in central Burgundy. And we run, in fact, 3 different activities in my family business. First one is Maison Tramier, established in 1842, which is a wine merchant matureur for Burgundy wines. Second one is where we are here for is Domaine Laurent Dufouleur, which is a family domain of 17 hectares. Certified HVE3 level since harvest 2020 and producing this famous Bouzeron. And third one is Roncier, which is producing some nice craft beer from Burgundy. So here today we are for Bouzeron. Bouzeron is one of the different appellations that we produce because we are producing wines in the village of Mercurey, Mercurey Premier Cru, but also Bouzeron, which is really something very special to me because this wine is usually considered to be the best aligoté from Burgundy, as it is a village appellation and using this rare grape. So we have a limited production for this wine of approximately 6,000 bottles per year, no more. And we also do produce some Bourgogne aligoté, regional appellation that can complete the range. And this wine can be of great interest for many people because it is not so obvious and easy to find. And this usually shows a great quality for the level of price.
Well, I couldn't agree more with that statement because, I mean, when I put my nose in the glass, it's, I mean, what more do you possibly want? I mean, you have all of the beauty of Burgundy. In this glass, which could easily fool you to be a much different appellation and also maybe even Chardonnay. Although the aligoté has always something very special in it, a particular energy that I personally really love. So please tell us, aligoté has come a long way from just being something that you dump cassis into as a kir, yeah, right? So tell us about what makes aligoté, the character, so unique, and why should we sell it to our guests instead of more expected Chardonnay?
This is a very good question, Justin. Thank you for asking. I do believe that, in fact, everybody knows Chardonnay. Chardonnay is native from Burgundy. Chardonnay is producing some great wines, with no doubt, either in Burgundy or in some other countries. But with aligoté, you will definitely differentiate yourself. If you just tell your customers that, for example, the best domain from Burgundy is Domaine de la Romanée-Conti, the owner of Domaine de la Romanée-Conti is owner in Bouzeron for several years, yep, and with great success. It already shows you that some great domains have a keen interest in that kind of grape. Yeah. And aligoté is a grape that used to be very acidic. But now we have made a lot of efforts in terms of vinification, and now aligoté still has got the slightly acidity which makes its character, but is definitely something that can pair very well with several types of food, and that matches very well and is just unique now.
I mean, I know from my experience in the restaurants that, especially in Europe more than in the US, but and the UK, but in Europe, especially maybe even Germany, people are always very concerned about the acid levels in a wine because they think that it's difficult for them, or they have problems, or they have acid reflux or things like this. So there's always a lot of questions like, oh, I can't drink Riesling because it's too acidic or something like this. And this is really, for me, a breakthrough in this sort of modern style of aligoté, because I don't have to worry about explaining to them that it's a very, very acidic grape, because in the glass, and you can tell me about the aging, because it's so round and it's so creamy and it's so full, that this has nothing to do with this skinny, acidic, almost like champagne grape tasting thing that it used to be. How do you age this wine? What's the...
This is correct. We have decided to age our Bouzeron in a big tonneau, as we say in French. I forgot the name. Wooden vats of 500 liters, 50% new, 50% old, just to cut the acidity and to make the wine much more rounded, well-rounded and easy to drink. So it still has got the nice acidity balance until the finish, but is not acidic. It's just a good acidity balance, which is very pleasant to be drunk either on its own as for aperitif or with a meal.
Do you do any aging on the lees or any batonnage?
Definitely. We do lees stirring, but not that much, because you have to be very careful when doing that. If you do it too much, then it's overwhelming the taste. So we want to keep the freshness of aligoté grape, just making it more round. So we do lees stirring during about 1 or maximum 2 weeks during vinification and at the beginning of aging. And then we stop. We finish the aging in wooden barrels, and then we can bottle it for further aging after 1 year.
And how much of this is actually, how many of these tonneaux are new wood or new oak, and how many are used?
That's 50% new oak, 50% old oak. Because if it was 100% new oak, it would overwhelm with a wooden taste, and we do not want to add too much wooden taste.
I mean, I think for me, the integration of the oak, considering it's 50%, which I think is very, it's very courageous for an aligoté. I think not many would have done that. Nobody would have done that 20 years ago, I don't think. Yeah. And I think that not only is it courageous, but I think that it's so beautifully integrated, and it assists the structure of the wine so beautifully that it's just such a round, complete package. And there's this beautiful little tropical fruit that Chardonnay doesn't usually have, but there's this spiciness and there's this little edge, which personally I love when you have dishes using like the shells of the shellfish. If you make like a bisque, or if you make like more of a heavier seafood sauce concentration, I think this sort of minerality from the shells, the stock can be difficult for a lot of wine, even for Chardonnay, because it's almost too pretty. And this one has this edge to it that makes it go so harmoniously with intense shellfish flavors, for example. Or even like paella and things like this. I adore it. But what do you like to do with this at home?
Well, definitely, I would love to. I usually have some Bouzeron as aperitif with my wife. To be honest, because it's very fresh, elegant, and with a nice acidity balance that I love. But definitely Bouzeron pairs very well with shells, but also with fish. And I would definitely recommend it with a nice grilled fish. You know, just to pair it
with a nice beurre blanc.
Yeah, would be great.
Parfait. Well, that's beautiful stuff. I can't imagine anybody not wanting to buy a lot of this, because it's hard to find great value in Burgundy, or at least budget Burgundy. And this really, as we say, it punches far above its weight. Let's put it that way.
Thank you very much indeed.
This can stand alongside any good village wine, in my opinion, from the Côte du Beaune. So thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup, Justin. Thank you.
Of course. And you owe me a price list too, my friend.
Sent already.
Okay. So you're good. Okay, now we are going to stay in Burgundy for a while, because as I said, my heart is really in Burgundy, but I was blown away by the quality that I found, especially in this budget. And not only Aligoté is a bit of an underdog, but one of the true underdogs of Burgundy, which has also suffered from a bit of a difficult reputation in the past, and now, in my opinion, are making some of the most interesting wines in France. We're talking about Beaujolais, not the Beaujolais Nouveau that you line up overnight to on the release to buy by the liter. That's just half fermented sweet grape juice. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the real Beaujolais. And not just one, of course, General Beaujolais, but also a Cru Beaujolais. This is so exciting, so exciting. It's one of the greatest values I think that I've found in many years now of being a somm. I'm very excited to present this stuff. And so well, let's allow Monsieur Gros to talk about his Roche Grand Beaujolais Village.
Thank you very much, Justin. Hi, everybody. So I'm Ludovic Gros. My wife and I, we grow a very small domain in Beaujolais, and we used to make bread with our own wheat and wine, well, with Gamay Noir grape variety. Our terroir is granitic, mainly granitic, and this cuvée Roche Grand is made with a Gamay Noir with a 16 years old plot. Okay, we grow our wines organically. We're certified since 2009, and for this year we are now growing with biodynamic way. Okay, and so all the details that we used to do when we grow the wines, we want to feel it in the wine. It's very important for us. This Gamay Noir is picked when it's very ripe. We destem it first, and the fermentation lasts during 20. The maceration lasts during 20 days. First, we just put our own leaven because the yeast are natural. It is our own yeast, and the second week we push the grapes in the tanks, and then the maceration lasts very gently, and it's gently pressed next. Then the malolactic fermentation are made in oak barrels, and it's old in oak barrels during 1 year. Well, the barrels are about 5 years old to 10 years old. So for us, it's a pleasure to present you this cuvée. The goal is when we vinified this plot, the goal is to find the freshness of the black fruits aromas of the terroir and the grapes, and to feel how can you say that, the velvet tannins that you feel when you crush the Gamay grape. Okay. So
yeah, yeah, I feel it. 100%. This is just extraordinary wine. Truly, I always was in discussions with the great Jacques Ladier from Jadot, one of the great makers and brains in the history of Burgundy, for sure. And I really discovered Beaujolais for the first time as a very, very young somm, the first time I was in France, and I was buying some fleuries from the 1980s and things like this, and even things from the 60s. And my mind was absolutely blown, and I had to ask Jacques, what's going on? Am I crazy, or are they crazy, or what's? And he said, no. I always put in my big tastings some Beaujolais from a great vintage in amongst all of the Grand Cru blind, and every single time at least half of the sommeliers pick the Beaujolais to be in the top 3, 4, 5 wines of the whole tasting, from 47, 59, 29, whatever the case is. And so I think it's many people do not understand how powerful Gamay can be. And so I would have to ask, was it a struggle for you to overcome this image of Gamay or Beaujolais being just this sort of thing you get in a jug and you just drink it down like cola, and it's not something serious? Do you have to fight against this, or how do you see the market going?
Well, for me, it's in French you say everybody is singing in his own church. So
yeah.
I try to not to well, I'm not a good commercial, so I just prove in the glass. I just have to prove in the glass that this genetical cousin of the Pinot Noir can be very rich, give pleasure, and give a very nice freshness year after year. Sincerely, there's not other proof than the wine to say that it's
proof is in the punch, as we say.
Yes.
No, it's fascinating to me as well, because now you see, at least in the US, it's kind of like the new hipster kind of hotspot Beaujolais. You know, all the New York somms, they all think that they discovered Beaujolais. And they're so excited about it, but I'm totally behind them, because I'm old now. I'm getting old now, so I figured this out, 15 years ago. But this is one of the regions where some of the most exciting things are happening in all of France, in my opinion. And there's so much development, and there's so many newcomers like yourself, and there's so many new ideas, fresh ideas, and different views on what Beaujolais can be. And it's being made on a serious level that Burgundy's maybe not seen before, in terms of how many winemakers are taking the grapes so seriously. And I'm so happy about it. It's absolutely, this is one of the most drinkable, delicious, and still intellectual wines that I've had in a very long time.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
No, thank you.
And if you, I was a sommelier like you, Justin, a long time ago. And if
I'm so sorry.
And if you cook, yeah, and if you cook a roast pigeon with it, it could be so nice, so nice. Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what about the food? You do roast pigeon, which I love anyway, but this is for me one of those, and that's actually what Robert just said. If I'm going on a picnic, if I'm invited to a lunch, this is exactly what I immediately grab, because I chill it down a little bit, just a little bit, so it's like cellar temperature. Mm-hmm. I bring it with me, and this crunchy acidity, the beautiful fruit, the depth, the tannin, which is so easy, with a bunch of lunch meats, sausages, some things like cold cuts, things like this. It's a dream. It's an absolute dream. But of course,
sorry?
Sorry, go ahead.
I just have to say cocorico.
Yeah, okay. Now, would you also age? Now, this is a Beaujolais village, right? Everyone says, oh, it's a village. But would you age this?
Yes. Yesterday we opened 1991, and it was very well, so oxidated thanks to the year, but the freshness of the fruit is still here. And yes, and you can feel what it was a very small yield year, but you can feel the tannins at the end of the mouth. Yes, I think for this 19 cuvée, I think you can hold it 5 or 10 years. Yes.
I mean, the concentration is exceptional. You feel this isn't a watery example. This is so tight and compact. and concentrated, and the structure and the juiciness, it's really just exceptional. I can't thank you enough for making this, and well, it's really a pleasure. Thank you, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Justin.
Obviously, switching to being a winemaker was a good idea. I'm glad you did. Okay, so we're just sticking around Beaujolais, but we're moving on. We're moving along to the clos of the chickens, to the Juliana, which is one of the 10 cru Beaujolais, of course. So if we could say so, Grand Cru in the Beaujolais. But I mean, I've said enough. I'll give the mic over now.
Parler du bord de machine. Donc là, il faut dire que.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jean-François Chabot. I'm the export director of Maison Jean Leron. I hope you like the tasting so far. So just to let me give you some information about the company. Maison Jean Leron is one of the oldest and largest vineyard owners in the south of Burgundy. We are located between the rock of Solutré in Mâconnais and Moulin-à-Vent in Beaujolais. You can see the nice moulin behind me. And we cover all the appellations of the region, including the 10 crus you mentioned, the 10 crus of Beaujolais like Bruy, Fleury, and Julianas in the north of the region. So the origins of the Maison Jean Leron dates back as a wine grower to 1711, so that means more than 3 centuries ago. We're quite an old house. The house is the owner of 150 hectares and is also certified HVI level 3 since last year. And the philosophy of the house is the respect of the terroirs to take into account the huge diversity of the region and produce the best of the grapes of the Gamay Noir. So the wine we're going to test today is coming from Julianas, as I told you, from Domaine de la Vieille Église, which is a domain which belongs to the house for more than 3 generations. And the specific cuvée we are going to test is coming from a plot called Clos des Poulettes, as you mentioned, the little chickens. And it's at the entrance of the village of Julianas, so it's already quite high in altitude, almost 400 meters. And the vineyards of this clos are growing on stony alluvial soils where we have the famous bluestones on the area. So maybe I'll leave you, Justin, to give some indication concerning the tasting and what you liked in this wine and the pairing with foods.
Absolutely. So, Juliana is a really, it's interesting to look at Beaujolais because every one of the 10 crus are completely different and they have their own character. And if you really know Beaujolais, blind tasting them, the difference between Juliana, Morgon, Fleury, and Régnier, for example, is every bit as clear as the difference between Gevrey-Chambertin, Chambol, Volnay, and Pommard. It's always a very unique and very strong character, and each one of them, for me, has their sort of character, but also their advantages. So, if you can tell me. What for you is the true character of Juliana?
Well, just to complete what you just said about the Beaujolais diversity, if you look at the map of the region in terms of soils, you can see it's a lot of diversity and with a lot of different things within a few kilometers. So Juliana, as I mentioned, is coming from the bluestones, and you have also some limestone soils, and this explains the character of the Juliana, where you can feel a strong personality in the grapes, in the wine you get from this area.
And I mean, you obviously notice here when you taste this wine, there is an increased level of tannin. There is an even more intense structure that goes away from just the juiciness and the ripeness of the Gamay, but now much more into, you know, traditional Burgundy territory, of really being so intensely structured that this one really does scream for more aging. And this is exactly the kind of wine that you can drink now, you can drink in 5 years, but you can easily drink in 15 or 20 years without blinking an eye.
Well, the latest vintage I tried for this specific one was 2009, and I can say that you still get surprised by the freshness and the high level of acidity, which gives a nice balance with the structure of the wine.
So I'll ask you, and then I'll give you my favorite, but what do you like to eat with this at home?
Well, I would say, of course, a nice bœuf bourguignon beef, which is obvious to go with. Once again, because you have the freshness within the wine, which make a nice balance to the dish. But then you have plenty of possibilities like veal liver, for example, mushrooms, fricassee, or of course strong cheeses. And another way you can use it for would be with some sweetness, and like cherries, macaron, or things like that. Yeah.
My dream with this wine would easily be two of my favorite Burgundian things, because, you know, we always say, I know it sounds like cheating, but what grows together goes together, right? It's a very simple rule. But for me, to start the meal with some jambon persillé. So for me, this beautiful, this ham terrine made with this parsley aspic is with mustard, very typical Burgundy. Fantastic. It just works, and it's good when you have it every day as an aperitif. I don't even care. I could have it every day of my life. It's so good. After that, one of my favorite things is les œufs en morette, which is kind of like boeuf bourguignon, right? It's a beautiful Burgundy sauce reduction, but with eggs cooked in it, and with the, you know, pearl onions and the champignon and the lardon and things like this. This is just a dream, because the egg is so, well, it's just the consistency. It's so rich and so soft and creamy, and the consistency of the gamay. Oh my God! And then to end it with some époisse or ami de Chambertin would be, I think I could die and probably go to heaven at that point.
Okay,
last meal, actually.
I never tried with the eggs as you mentioned, but this is a very good idea. This is something I'm going to do, and I'll let you know the results. I'm sure that will be a perfect match.
Please do. Please do.
Thank you very much
for joining us. Thank you for the fantastic wine. Now we're making our way north, up the Côte, now to the Côte du Beaune. And now we are getting close to where my heart first came to Burgundy, which was in Volnay, and we're in the Haute Côte de Beaune. So, yeah, Mr. Kerlan, take it away.
I'm here. Okay. My name is Hervé Kerlan. I'm a fifth generation in a wine family. And when I was 24, I moved to Canada, and I stayed there for 14 years. And in 1991, back to France and to Burgundy. In 98, I purchased Château de la Borde from the Hospice de Beaune. And I'm located 10 kilometers east from the Beaune city. In 99, I started the domain, and I'm the winemaker of it. At the present time, I make 20 wines, 20 different wines, over 9 hectares of vinification. And since I started from scratch this operation, I can make whatever I want, the way I want it. And for instance, I make a Blanc de Pinot Noir, which, if you want to match with food, really balance artichoke and asparagus, which are the nightmare of the sommelier, I guess. I produce 2/3 of regional wine and 1/3 of village and premier cru. I am HVE level 3, and I'm doing the step moving towards to organic farming. concerning the vineyard of Cuillery in Haute-Côte de Beaune. It's a cool climate on a hillside on the other side of a Volney forest, and he has a sunset orientation. So that make it a very cool climate, and it helps to make this wine as very fruit crunchy, fresh fruit, and create the balance with delicate tannin expression. And I really love the long finish of that simple regional wine. For food, well, you know, French food works, Italian as well, actually, and meat, but with duck, it's always a success. It's always a match. Back to you, Justin.
Couldn't agree more. Now, tell me, there was actually a question about this in the comments. Because of the situation of the Haute-Côte de Beaune,
yes,
do you find actually with global warming that you will be in an sort of in an advantage situation?
Yes, definitely, especially climate like that, because it's sunset, hilly. It's got a forest of Volney on, you know, that's hiding a little bit of the sunrise sun, and it's windy. So for many years, it was really tough to bring the grapes to full maturity. And I can see since a few years that parcel really show really nicely, and we are tasting the 17, but that is even more with the vintage, the following vintage that are quite warmer, you know, 18, 19, and 20. With those vintage, you really see Cuillery as a really gloomy. And because, you know, we really get a lovely fruit, and we don't go too high in alcohol. We don't, you know, skyrock. And for me, it's very important because you really manage to keep the natural acidity. And so 17 is the beginning of Cuillery really reaching a very high level of quality. You know, we are basically touching two villages, Montély and Volney. It's the first parcel, it's the first piece of land that's classified as Haute-Côte de Beaune. So it's very good location.
I mean, you can. I was just going to say, because my first love in Burgundy was Volney. It was first wine was a Volney Champagne, and that's when I really knew the elegance, the beauty of Pinot Noir, and the intellectual character of Pinot Noir. And when I, if I was given this blind, I would smell it, and I would say, yeah, this is for sure Village Volney. And if someone said it was a Montély, I would say, oh, okay, fine. But I would not immediately go to the Haute-Côte de Beaune. The nose is just absolutely sexy, beautiful. I love the freshness. I love the clarity. There's nothing heavy. There's nothing woody. It's just crystal clear, beautiful Burgundy. I couldn't be more a fan of this wine. And again, Burgundy is becoming so important for all of the sommeliers now because there's been a bit of a shift from other things. And I think that a lot of drinkers, when they've already explored so many other wine regions, Burgundy is always so complicated to understand. And so for them, it's kind of like the Holy Grail. And maybe it comes to them later in life and they finally can understand, and they can also accept because, you know, early on in drinking, a lot of palates go towards the richer, the bigger, the fatter, and it takes time to come around to the elegance and to accept the elegance. And so for a sommelier in the modern times, Burgundy is becoming more and more and more important. And so to be able to offer something of value is very difficult. And this is what can get any sommelier out of any difficult discussion at the table anytime, and say, listen, here, this is amazing Burgundy, and you don't have to mortgage your house. It's
Yeah, and it really stimulates the taste bud. You know, the natural acidity of a wine like this really stimulate the taste bud, and I think the food and wine experience is really, improved with this kind of wines. You know, yeah.
and for this, I want something like a game bird, duck. You can do pheasant. You can do guinea hen. Anything that has a wonderful little bit of earthiness, but really succulent, elegant flesh that doesn't overpower the wine, that lets the earthiness of the wine come through. And if you spent a few euros and put this in your cellar for 10 years, and you start getting this mushroomy, typical Burgundy thing, this truffly, then you have so much more potential. Yeah, well, I could talk about this all day, but we have three other wines that I love so much, so we have to share the
We should move on. Yeah, thank you.
And you owe me a price list too, don't you?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, don't worry.
Send it. Okay, here we go. Going back to the Loire, but we're changing colors. I am such a huge fan of Cabernet Franc because I think it's also going to be one of the next big things because it is so unique and so different and so awesome. Let's just jump right into this funny bottle that looks kind of like a champagne bottle, but it's not. It's full of red Cabernet Franc. So,
exactly.
Yes. What's going on here?
Sorry. Hi, everybody. I'm Domiti from Baudry du Tour. Baudry du Tour, it's a story about wines, friends, and family. Actually, on one side, you have Christophe Baudry, who is a wine grower from father to son for 6 generations. On the other side, Jean-Martin Dutour is an agronomist and enologist who arrived in Chinon in 1993 to manage Domaine du Roncet. And quickly they became friends, they shared their tools, their domains, their ideas, and from their complementarity, Baudry du Tour was born in 2003. Our vineyard grew step by step to become one of the main producers of the appellation. In 2009, we took over the Château de Lagris that you are tasting. It's really an emblematic domain in Chinon. It dates back to the 15th century. In the 19th century, it became famous as the exception of Chinon and the reference for quality. During the 20th century, it was owned by family Gosset from Champagne, and that explained the shape of the bottle. From that time, we kept this very specific shape. Actually, it was drawn by Albert Gosset from a mold of the first bottle of Champagne. When we acquired Château de Lagris, we launched a huge renovation project that lasted for 10 years. Obviously, we had to do a lot of work to restore the castle, but we focused first on restoring the biodiversity of this very special place that combines on 35 hectares, woods, vines, lawns, hedges, gardens. The vineyard is dedicated to only one grape. It's 100% Cabernet Franc, and all is certified HVE. It means high environmental value. More than this label, our philosophy is based on conservation agriculture, which is an approach founded on agronomy that aims at creating a virtuous circle between the air, the soil, and the vines. To be short, the priority is given to the life of the soil that we saw with various plant covers. It permits to catch carbon, to protect the soil, to supply the organic material that is used by the vine. So it's crucial for us to be sustainable to protect this outstanding terroir. Château de Lagris tells a very long story, the story of the region actually, and we'll look towards the future with one permanent obsession, which is quality and balance. That's why for this red wine, we select the oldest vines that are picked up by hand when fully ripe, and then the wine is aged 50% in barrels, 50% in stainless steel. for at least 1 year, and then we continue the aging in the cellar, in bottle, before to release. So you are testing currently the 17 vintage, which is our last vintage.
So, sorry, yeah. So, I guess that's about all the infos you could want. And now let's talk about this thing. So I adore Cabernet Franc because it's something for me exactly between Burgundy and Bordeaux. If I'm talking about selling, it has the sexiness and the elegance a bit that goes in the Burgundy direction, but it's not as hard-edged and as so structured as Bordeaux. It has this beautiful exotic character, the damson plums, the dustiness, the pencil lead, this violety kind of thing. It's just so aromatic. Of course, more than his son Cabernet Sauvignon, it's even more aromatic. Or should I say, the Cabernet Sauvignon got his aromas from the father. And I can't say it's underrated anymore because there's been a lot of hype about Cabernet Franc and Loire and Saumur and Anjou and Chinon. So, but I've been a fan for a very long time, and I love what you can do with this wine, especially when it comes to things like, especially now that summer's coming up, grilled fish, putting fish over fire on a grill. This fits so well in this category because it's not too tannic. It's still powerful enough to handle the smoky, roast flavors or roast sort of aromas. If you have difficult things like, for example, bell peppers, paprika, even vegetables which become difficult to pair, artichokes and things like that, this is easy. And of course, I mean, if you want to be classic, Pigeon d'Anjou, right?
Of course, yeah. Obviously, what I like really with this one is that you can really play with it. It's very versatile, and you can go with, as you say, with many things: game, poultry, fish, even vegetables. You can have just roasted eggplants or some. You can really adapt with the season also. So it's just perfect to match it with your mood.
Et voila, that's actually one of the best answers. And I adore this wine, really. I think it's something that everybody should have at home because it has so much usefulness, and you can really surprise people, and you can say, hey, check this out. All of a sudden, a Cabernet Franc with the bottles crazy looking, whoa, what is this? And it really just has so much story behind it. It's fantastic. So thank you so much again for the wonderful wine.
Thank you, Justine.
I'll have some in my cellar, that's for sure. Okay, now we go to finally the Bordeaux. My God, it took long enough, didn't it? Of course, all roads lead to Bordeaux. So let's go. Without further ado, the Chateau de Bessières. The stage is yours.
Good morning. My name is Lucille, and I work as an export assistant for a company called Giron de Gascogne. We are in charge of selling exclusively the wide range of wines from our chateaux located in the area of Bordeaux. There are Château Ramage-la-Bâtisse, au Médoc Cru Bourgeois Supérieur, Château Tourteron, au Médoc Cru Bourgeois, and Château de Bessières, Castillon Côte de Bordeaux. Our philosophy is to offer wines that are ready to drink. That is why we can offer for sales in large volumes very nice vintages, such as 2009, 2010, or 2015. And we like to promote our wines in France and internationally. So we take part in renowned competitions every year, and many of our wines are awarded with medals and mentions. Today, I would like to present to you our wine Château de Bessières 2010. It is one of the best cru of the Castillon Côte de Bordeaux appellation. It is produced in a beautiful chateau with old vines, really near to Saint-Emilion, and it is aged in oak barrels. This is an outstanding vintage, which has been rewarded with 19 medals. It received 5 gold medals, 8 silver medals, 5 bronze medals, and 1 medal of honor. It also received great ratings from wine enthusiasts with 88 points out of 100, and from James Suckling with 92 points out of 100. So this highlights the fantastic quality of this wine. We sell it €6.95 per bottle ex-cellar, so it's a very good value for money. And this wine is ready to drink, but you can keep it for at least 7 or 8 more years. It is a wine which is very easy to pair. You can enjoy it with game, grilled meats, red meat, or any cheese.
Your micro,
Just
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Sorry. Sometimes, you know, modern technical things escape me. I much prefer bottles and corks. So, yeah, for anybody watching, this is one of the greatest challenges in being a wine seller, which is to give someone an experience, which we all know because we've all had here in the room. We've all had great wines from great vintages that are 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years old, right? We've all had this, but many people have not, and they don't have access to it. And so to have the ability to give someone a 11, 12, 13-year-old Bordeaux experience from a tremendous vintage like 2010 for this kind of money is a rarity. And so I had to pick this wine because it just blew me away that this is even possible, right? And so the luxury of drinking a properly aged wine in a day where people don't always have the ability, they don't even have cellars. They probably live in a high-rise building, they have no access to temperature control. To be able to have this or to put it on your restaurant list for a manageable, or dare I say, extremely attractive price is just something extraordinary. And I just adore the elegance, the refinement, the development in this wine, the leathery, tobacco-y things, the elegance. It truly is an absolute Bordeaux experience on a budget that everybody can afford. I mean, for me, this is to speak to the business aspect of working with wine. It doesn't make sense to not have this. So I guess I can't really say too much more than that. But all that this wine needs is a very elegant cut of meat that's been just basically rare or medium rare. I wouldn't even want anything more than that with this. A very fine cut, not a big fatty cut, because you don't want to step all over this, the nuance in this wine. But something like a hanger steak or a filet with a lower fat content with more focus, even a tuna steak or something like this, I think would be just exceptional. Just keep it simple, keep it clear, and let the wine do its work. I mean, that's for me, I guess. Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, thank you so much for this. I think we can all appreciate the value in this glass. And now it's time, as we have bookends in Bordeaux now. We have one, now we go to the other, from Castillon to Leone de Pomerol, and from a 2010 to a 2016. So, Monsieur Baudery, take it away.
Hi everybody. Okay, so I'm the owner of the family estates and the 5th generation of winemaker. I'm also, we have different estates, so they are all on the French wine days. We got Bordeaux Supérieur with Château Les Gravières de la Brandille, and also Chateau Les Combes with Bussac Saint-Emilion and dry whites and rosé. And you've got also this wonderful wine I enjoyed, the Chateau Vieille Dynasty, the Cuvée Éléonore 2016. Our main philosophy for the winemaking is, of course, to explain, as my friends, all the capacity and the potential of our soils and of our grape varieties. The specialty of this wine is that not a Pomerol or a baby Pomerol. As you know, this wonderful appellation is more Merlot and very ripe fruit. This one is a totally different expression of the Lalande de Pomerol or Pomerol style. I mean, we use the Cabernet Sauvignon, so that's the first big step, the biggest difference with the big brother. And the second one is also the soil. Why we have this grape variety? It's because of the soil, of course. We don't choose especially what we want to do, but we use what we can do on the soil. So we have more gravels and sands. So because of it, we have more cabernets. We use also Cabernet Franc and Merlot for the other cuvée. And this one is aging 12 months in new French oak barrels and barrels of 1 year, locally selected with partners and makers around the estate, around 10 to 15 kilometers. And that's a wine you can drink now and of course keep, because Bordeaux is very popular to be kept. You can match this wine with many red meats or white meats or barbecues. It's very friendly with the sun is coming back. You can match it easily. And okay, I think Justin, you can speak of it.
I would be happy to. There's several reasons why I picked this wine. Because I wanted to show some parallels in several different regions. For example, in Beaujolais, a fantastic parallel. 2 different bottles, 2 different customers, 2 different situations, and it's exactly the same here in Bordeaux. We have 2 wines which couldn't be more different, and this is exactly what, as a wine seller, retailer, or sommelier, we are there because of our customers, and of course we have to have our signature on our selections and on what we personally love or personally drink. However, our customers are the point to why we're here, and we always have contrasting tastes, we have contrasting experiences, we have contrasting needs. And so this was such an exciting way in 2 bottles to almost describe all of Bordeaux. And for the sophisticated drinker who's looking for a really nice surprise, then of course the 2010 with age on it, you can put on your list, fantastic. But what about the other needs? Maybe even it's the same person, but they say, you know what, I want something richer, more powerful. I want something in my face. I got a big fat porterhouse steak with lots of fat and caramelization and some rich side dishes, or I've got a ragu of some sort, like a rabbit ragu or a beef ragu or something like this, or wild boar or something with just more power to it. Now I want something different, but I want to stay in Bordeaux. Well, here you go. Not only can you contrast by going away from close to Saint-Emilion to now Lalande de Pomerol, to a more Merlot heavy to now 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. This is such a rarity in Bordeaux. That alone made me completely fascinated in the wine. But to also give your clients the possibility to say, hey, listen, with the 2010, drink it now. But I have something that you might want to put in your cellar for the next 5, 10, 15 years, and here it is. And so this is exactly that other option. Although with rich food, it's fantastic right now. I am just totally in love with this wine. So what made you, if I can ask you, make a 100% Cabernet Bordeaux? Because honestly, I don't know of very many of them at all.
About the typicity, you are speaking about to be alone. That's it.
I mean, what, were you worried about making 100% Cabernet, or because almost nobody does that, so it had to be a little bit of a brave decision to make 100% Cabernet.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course, Bordeaux is popular for the blend. So speak of Bordeaux means speak of the blends, and we don't have the philosophy to speak about the grape variety as in your countries. Anyway. To make this wine, it's first because of the soil, and second one because it's not a very big production for this cuvée. This cuvée is around 3,000 to 4,000 bottles each year. So when we test the tanks during the winemaking process, we can select the best one. And if the best one is not Merlot, if the best one is not a blend of Merlot and Cabernet Franc, or if the best is the Cabernet Sauvignon, I prefer to use this one to express something different, something very special and authentic. When you try this wine, what I think you can find in some different vintages, you don't know you're in Bordeaux. You are feeling more in the northern Rhone Valley sometimes, and that's something my customers say. They are not in Bordeaux Medoc style because it's Cabernet Sauvignon like what we use in Medoc. They are not in Saint-Emilion or Pomerol area, but it's still Bordeaux style. So I would like to say to use the Cabernet Sauvignon is not a choice because I want to use that, but I want to show it because it's so interesting to taste it differently on this kind of soil. So that's why I decided to use that. But believe my enologist didn't want to do that, and my father was not very sure also. So it was really my decision.
Well, I'm glad you did, because not only is it a fantastic wine, but for us who are trying to sell it, it has a very USP, a unique selling point. So I think it's fantastic. Speaking about story behind the wine, absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And now we, as we say in German, to the süße Abschluss, to the sweet ending of this story, we go to, and I can be honest when I say this, of course I'm a Francophile, I love French wine, but for me, if it's not sweet Riesling, maybe the most exciting region for sweet wine on the planet is in the southwest of France, in Jurançon.
Thank you, Justin. As last but not least, as we say in English,
yes,
some sweet wine to finish this amazing tasting. So my name is Lucie Streusser. I'm a sales manager for Domaine du Cinco. It's an independent and family business. It's been in the same family since 1617. And Mr. Sobo, the actual owner, is the 17th generation. But he's in his 80s. He's not the winemaker. We have Germain Laborde, who's the winemaker. He's been working here for over 10 years now. And he's given the wine a bit of freshness and renewal, because the wine were getting a bit old and the quality was not there, the packaging was not there. But 10 years ago, Germain came and did a great work. And we now have 7 wines in our portfolio, 3 dry, 3 sweet, wine late harvest, and a sparkling wine as well. And we are about to launch a rosé wine, a very small batch, with some Mont Saint-Noir and Mondeuse, which is originally from the Alps. But because we are in the mountain as well here, he just wanted to try it out and see if it was going to work in the Pyrenees. We are HVE as well, and we are converting to organic. So we are halfway through. We'll get the certification in September 2022. The wine that you've chosen is the spirit of the Jurançon. Its name is L'Esprit because it captures all the greatness that you can find in the terroir of Jurançon. The traditional grapes of Jurançon is the Petit Mansin. That's what we mainly grow on the vineyard. We do have some Gros Mansin as well for the dry wine. So this is 100% Petit Mansin, 2017 vintaged, and it's been matured in oak barrel. And what we really like about this sweet wine is, although it has 110 grams of residual sugar per liter, there's a lot of lightness, depth but lightness at the same time. There's a great balance between the acidity and the sugar, a lot of length, a lot of long-lasting aromas, and you can either drink it, like the traditional way of drinking Jurançon is probably with a bit of foie gras, or in desserts with some chocolate fudge or some, I don't know, maybe some tartare d'ananas or apricot tart. But you can as well maybe think of enjoying it with some sweet and sour cuisine, or some duck à l'orange, or, as you said before, just on its own, as I'm doing just now, as it's aperitif time here, 12:30. So there's hundreds of ways of enjoying this sweet wine. So up to you, Justin, to let me know what you think of it.
Let's talk about this wine, because I love it so dearly, and I've loved Jurançon from the first time. It was love at first sip, to be honest, because it has such an excitement in the glass that I have rarely seen in sweet wines, because it's easy to make a sweet wine that is just sweet and it's flat and it's kind of just bleh, it's just sugar, which is why Riesling and Chenin Blanc, for example, and Ferment in Tokai make fantastic sweet wines because of this vibrant acidity that balances everything out and keeps it fresh. But Jurançon has a very unique nose and character from the Mansang, and it has this orange blossomy, almost like bitter orange marmalade. It's so complex, and all this is almost like an almond sablé kind of thing going on, and it's just so deep and so vibrant, and also ages fantastically. And it's because of this acidity, it's one of the rare sweet wines that you can serve actually as an aperitif, just as well as you can at the end of a meal. If you have canapés that go from more savory to even sweet with foie gras or something like this, it can manage almost everything in between, and no one gets tired of drinking it because of this lively acidity. It's just, for me, it's a joy to drink.
No, absolutely. A lot of customers, when they come to the vineyard and they're like, oh no, I don't like too much sweets, thank you very much. And they try it. And 90% of people who try this wine actually change their vision about sweet Jurançon. And as you said, because of this acidity, there's a great balance between the sugarness and the acidity. And it stays, as I said before, very light in the palate and very enjoyable, although there's a lot of sugar in it.
Yeah, no, I really think that of all the sweet wines on the planet, Jurançon is by far the most underrated, and also by far one of the best. So if anyone's looking for value and something to surprise their guests with, and for a sheer versatility to go with so many different styles of dessert, especially desserts with any sort of stone fruit or nuts, and of course even many cheeses. Okay, of course blue cheese goes without question, but even creamier cheeses. This is just, it is for me one of the most important things that I've ever had in my cellars in any restaurant that I've worked at. And it can bail you out of so many situations and surprise your guests. So again, thank you so much also for this wonderful conclusion. I couldn't think of a better way to end the tasting.
Thank you, Christine.
I hope that everybody enjoyed tasting along with at least what I thought to be 10 of the greatest discoveries that I have personally come across in several years. I can be perfectly honest in saying that. Anyway, France has so much to discover, especially when guests say, oh yeah, well, French wine is, they put it in a basket like, oh, French wine is expensive, or yeah, French wine is difficult. And these are 10 reasons to change their mind. Everything that you had today is so easy to sell, so easy to enjoy, but still so complex. And anyway, I think if we can now, I have a few minutes, I would be happy to open for another question or two. Other than that, as I said, the winemakers are all very much open to all of your private inquiries and questions. If you have more information on what they like to eat, what they like to drink, or how they make their wines, please contact them. And if anybody has been awake in the last 20 years, this whole interweb thing has a whole lot of answers on it too.
Cheers.
Rock stars, thank you so much for your amazing wine. If you're not sold out tomorrow, tell me. I will hunt down every single person on this list. Just kidding. But you guys do an amazing job. Keep doing it. And I hope everyone enjoyed all the selections as much as I did. And well, we'll see you next year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.